With the Western Canadian crops in decent shape, attention is turning now to harvest and also grain movement. Host of Real Ag Radio, Shaun Haney, joins us now with the latest insight. And Shaun, as always, thanks for your time today. So what are the production estimates you're hearing for the 22 crop in Western Canada?
Hey, Jenna, great to be with you here today. So I think the jury is still somewhat out, but we know this, that there is going to be much higher production in 2022 than there was in 2021 on the Western Canadian prairies. We've seen, really in fantastic ways for Saskatchewan and Alberta, for a great part of the real drought regions. We saw rain in June here and July that has really kind of rescued that crop. Unfortunately, Manitoba is still kind of dealing with some of the after effects, I guess I should say, of that extremely heavy amount of rainfall that they had in the springtime. A lot of concerns in Manitoba about frost, and the nighttime lows are kind of oddly low for this time of the year, and a lot of concern about that frost because of how late some of that crop was planted. Keith Creel, who is CEO of CP Rail, said in an earnings call here this week that they're estimating about a 70 million ton crop in Western Canada. That's kind of in line with the historical averages, and a lot of pressure building to get this crop off the field, and then of course get it shipped out to port.
Now, Shaun, some perceive this as a critical harvest for Canada and the world as a whole. What's meant by that?
Yeah, so I've been hearing this more and more frequently from some farm groups collectively that this is a really important harvest. We're paying a lot of attention right now to can they get the grain out of Ukraine? And there's a lot of talk, obviously, across not only the G7 countries but around the world about food shortages and food security. So with this Canadian crop in much better shape, farm groups are saying this is a really critical harvest, not just for Canadian producers, of course, because of some of the income loss last year due to the drought, but also for the world because Canada is such an exporting nation. Getting this product out to buyers around the world is absolutely critical at a time where this Russia war in Ukraine has really hurt some supplies of crops like wheat.
And how much concern is there about the railway's ability to move that grain?
Yeah, so there's always a conflict between farmers, the grain industry, and the rail, the two companies, CP and CN. Obviously, they have to work together though to get that crop out of the farmers' fields or out of their bins and to the grain elevators and then out to port via the railway through the Rocky Mountains. So we saw a campaign that was launched by many members, farm groups, as well as the grain industry, Western Grain Elevators Association, pushing for the railways to have sufficient plans this year for their grain movement. And railways, obviously are going to say that they are ready, but those farm groups and the grain industry have launched a campaign called Canada's Ready, really trying to make sure that we've got all the ducks in a row, so to speak, and we've really thought about trying to get all this grain moved. Remember last year, the railways kind of struggled, even though the crop was lower, but a lot of it had to do with the floods in British Columbia. A lot of that damage has been repaired. It's an engineering feat that they have done the repairs, but there's going to be a lot of attention on the railways here trying to move this crop as it comes off the field here in the new marketing year.
All right, Shaun, as always, thanks for your insight. Host of Real Ag Radio, Shaun Haney, on the phone with us today. Remember, you can catch his show each afternoon on Real Ag Radio. That is on Rural Radio 147. That's at 4:30 Eastern each weekday afternoon. And, of course, we'll chat with him here on the Market Day Report again on Monday.